of my life, I'm taking control, because that's what that moment was. That moment was him finally, after however many years, confronting the thing that has been holding him back. And so it had to be unstable. It had to be unknowing. It had to feel raw and real. And it had to feel imperfect, you know? So we took a break from these kind of lockdown shots to this moment of this raw energy, you know, and following him. And it was almost like taking the story from observing him to watching him get in the car, and then bam, now we're symbiotic. The camera and Jack are, okay, we understand each other. I got you, but I got you, buddy. You know, like kind of like we're gonna go in there and we're gonna say, "Here's my piece." You know, it's the on your left moment for from the Avengers Endgame. You know, no spoilers, but it's that moment where you're like, "Oh shit, okay, we're together. We get it." You know, it's trying to symbolize his kind of just, I'm over this shit. I've kind of, all right, I'm going to go deep into the movie, and an hour in, your podcasters and listeners are going to finally get what they want. But we took an approach where it was very much like, I want Jack to feel totally removed from the world, you know, and just feel isolated and just feel like, God, like I'm so alone, and you know, that crushing loneliness you can feel, and then that moment of reclaiming your life, not giving in, not saying this is my staple, this is where I am, but saying, you know what, fuck it, no, this is me, I deserve this, and kind of, you know, championing himself. That's what I was going for with that shot, and I'm so glad that it ended up making it into the film, because I think that kind of created a shift as to how we told the story.
Absolutely. I mean, everything changes in that moment.
Right.
And
because then when he does the gag with the door, the cabinet door opening, and him just going, nope, nope, nope.
Yeah. I love that so much. So much.
Well, as far as I remember it, I think that might have been my idea, but I don't want to take credit for it if it wasn't. But I had fishing string in my kit, and I was like, fucking, let's use this. And the cabinet was there, and I was like, I really want to see that thing open. And him just go, nope. So we did that, and man, what a joy that thing was. But you know, I threw some Sam Raimi in there at the end with Sydney's character. God, what's her name? Oh man, I just lost it.
Sydney Vollmer.
Rosie.
Oh, Rosie.
No, Rosie. Yeah, when Rosie shows up and she goes all, you know, Evil Dead on him. You know, I had originally assigned everyone kind of a color, but black and white is the perfect choice. Because it's just it's a great film about the veil of life and death.
And also what it means to live.
Yeah, like so what I love is the choice of black and white. I know it was kind of a budgetary thing at some points, but also leaning into it I don't know that the movie would have worked as well with color.
I 100% agree. I think, and initially, like, I know that you guys intentionally you were supposed to be shooting in color, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that the right turn was made, because it fits so much more perfect for not only what you're seeing on screen, but like the end game of the story. Like
I totally agree.
I don't see it. Like, I even would have been annoyed, like, let's just say, like, artistically, you're like, all right, we're going to be super artsy here. We're going to shoot most of it in color, and then once the garage sequence happens, then we're going to go black and white, or vice versa. We have them all black and white, and then when he's getting what he wants, we're going to come into color.
Yep.
I'm not by any stretch going to be like, well, I probably wouldn't have liked the movie if it did that. I'm not going to say that at all, but it definitely,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, like, it definitely would have altered how I took in what I was seeing, for sure. In fact, like, now that I'm actually thinking about it, if you'd have went black and white the whole time and then did color in those end sequences, that's a little top 40 for me.
Yeah, it's a little schmaltzy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at most, having one, like, item, like a red something show up to go, oh, there's some color. But I think...
Oh, it's just like that little kid in Schindler's List. They're great.
Yeah,
These guys are great.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're going for, is Schindler's List with a ghost. Schindler's Ghost. Oh, God. No, but no, going black and white is ultimately the absolute best of all of it, because what I've said this, and it's an accidental symbolism, but goddamn does it work. The lifelessness of Jack, the just devoidness of any sort of someone to relate to and whatever. When you feel like that, you feel black and white. You don't see the color of the world.
Wow. That's really a great way to put that. That is great, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to say this without
let it ride.
Like, that's a good thing, but like, there's a black and white when you are, let's call it out, but Jack is depressed. Right?
Yeah, depressed and lonely, 100%.
He's dead inside. And so when we think of that stuff, it's kind of black and white, right? The only argument I'd have to introducing a little bit of color at the end would be to say, hey, there's a hope. Because I don't, like, my concern would be, I don't want this to be a pro what happens at the end, right? But it's an absolute, like, as far as our characters go, there's a symbolism for the veil that a lot of people feel when they're going through life and they're like, shit, man, everyone's talking about how great and sunny and everything is, and I'm just like, I got a storm cloud over me, and I don't know, I hope that the film reaches people and gives them comfort, but not to the extent that the film does.
I didn't want to, like, just jump in and, like, in my head I'm just thinking, yeah, I do too, just don't maybe. No, totally. So man. I don't know, it's a tough film, man. It's a tough film. And I think it's an important film, and I think it speaks to people in a certain way that a lot of movies don't and are afraid to. But I hope it provides
comfort and peace to people, but not necessarily that way.
Right. I would agree. I do think it is a very important film. I think that, and I want Adam to hear this again, and I'm going to tell him personally when he comes on the show in a couple days here. You're not alone. I watched that interview of you in Glasgow at Fright Fest, like this constant wondering, like, what am I doing? Who am I? Where am I? And, you, like Mike said, like, we're not that we would go all in with Jack, but like there is a voice that is extremely relatable. Like I was telling MacLeod, like, it was eerie on occasion, not to divulge too much about myself, but it was eerie on occasion. And I'm not going to sit here and say like suicidal thoughts or anything, but the wondering of like, what is my place? What am I doing? Like, just and that's a testament to Adam's script and MacLeod's acting. And you're not alone, Adam. You are not alone. And I am convinced, and I'm wrong, but I am convinced that this movie is going to find an audience. Like, I mean, just the Arrow Video distribution right out of the gate, that's huge. Like, somebody at Arrow Video was just like, wait a minute, we got something here. And, I'm trying to set up the second week of May. I think I'm going to rent out the theater by me, and I'm going to try to show it. I already got Adam's blessing. I hope that they have the ability to where I can show it on Blu-ray. And it's like you said, because I think it has nothing to do that we're all, fellow Ohioans or any stupid shit like that. Right. I think that this film needs to be seen by a large amount of people. I think it is, and I really think it's topical in terms of how we feel. Like the fact that that you shot it, or at least principal began in 2016, and now here we are 2021, and we are a couple weeks away from an official release. Like, dude, we are all going through this extremely very Jack-esque, very Muriel-esque type. And even though Muriel's, particular character is going through something completely different, even that is relatable. Just the royal they are lying to me. That is relatable. Like, I mean, you could just say politics, the news media, they are lying to me, and being able to, sympathize and understand what Muriel's going through. I'm so glad that this film hit when it did. Michael, I thought your camera work throughout it was top notch, especially considering the shoestring budget, and your just kind of like MacLeod, you're wearing many hats. Like, you came off of a shoot where you had a crew of 10 plus, and now you're doing everything yourself, and I there are some opening shots in there, and I meant to. So I did have Sam Raimi. I'm annoyed that you already brought up Sam Raimi. I'm definitely annoyed because I was like, oh man, that was definitely in like some of my little closing notes here. But you want to know what sticking with the Sam Raimi, you want to know that first opening shot of Muriel and a couple of shots throughout of Muriel. I got a very Universal Monster vibe to it, and I love that. I absolutely love that. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, well, it looks cheap. And it's like, well, first of all, yeah, it was. And number two, have you ever seen a Universal Monster movie? Like, just the way that it looked and felt, I was like, I feel like I'm watching Dracula right now. Like the old, like, Bela Lugosi, like, in terms of how it sat with me. So a very, Universal Monster feel, very Hitchcockian, peppered with a little Sam Raimi. One thing that I definitely wanted to tell you before I got you out of here, I thought your execution of isolation was perfect, like in terms of how, because Jack's not saying anything when he's